Okay, the door is closed now, so I guess it's a subtle hint for us to get started. We're going to prepare the USB keys for you guys to download our materials. They're
laptop or something.
Yeah, if you are interested, we're handing out a PowerPoint presentation as well as handout materials as well as Dynamo scripts. So all the packages we're presenting today, you can have it right now and you can run it.
Is it also be available
on the website?
That's what I've been told, so we'll make
Okay.
sure that we can pack it up.
I'm not sure about the Dynamo scripts, but we'll do our best to share that.
Put it up.
material.
I had my laptop with me, I downloaded it.
Yeah, excellent.
All right.
This is the.
So we have 4 parts to our presentation. We're going to tell you about who we are, then we're going to tell you about the work that we're presenting, why and what, and then we're going to show you how we collect data, and then we'll show you what we do with all the data that we collect. And then we'll hopefully have some time for Q&A.
So, I'm Jude Ayton. I've been working with Perkins Eastman for a couple years now, but been in the industry, like many of us, for 18 plus years, doing everything from BIM management to design technology and that type of stuff. Mrs. Masha?
Yep, well, Jude and I actually presented a bunch of times, but we usually do it remotely because Jude is in LA and I'm in New York. So this is a unique opportunity for you guys to see us present together in one room. My name is Masha Bekarovsky. I'm a design technology specialist with Perkins Eastman, New York. I've been with Perkins Eastman for about 3 years, and I've been in the architecture industry for over 10 years now. And you're welcome to tweet at me, at Masha Bekarovsky, and we even have a hashtag for this topic, Best of BIM. So just a bit of background about Perkins Eastman. We're pretty big, but not many people know about us. The company was founded in 1981, and we have 15 offices worldwide. And we have 9 US domestic offices and 4 international offices. And we do a bunch of projects, and we do residential work, hospitality, healthcare. A big part of our portfolio are large healthcare facilities, senior living projects, variety of projects. As I said before, we have 900 people, a bit more now, doing a variety of projects. And our firm-wide design technology team, which Jude and I are part of, is only 4 people. So imagine 4 people supporting over 140 projects. That sounds like a lot of fun, right?
These projects vary in size, they vary in practice area, they vary in team structure, in team location. Some of these projects are multiple offices geographically distributed across the nation, across the world. So we have projects that involve Ecuador and New York, and Ecuador and Chicago, or DC and LA.
Every possible mix.
All the way.
Just think about all the map, the worldwide map, every possible mix that you can think about, all the time. So one of the things that we had in our mind is how do we provide timely and consistent QA/QC feedback to our teams?
And also, because there's a few of us, as we're doing these types of interactions with the project team and helping them just in time, we want to provide between the different people that'll be engaging with the different project teams to take it up another level as well, and provide a consistent workflow so that whether it's myself or Masha or Scott or James providing these contact points and providing these types of analysis and review and these reports to the project teams, that we're doing it in a very consistent fashion. That way, any one of us can either tag team into it or present a polished product, not just simply over the shoulder saying, oh, well, you had a meltdown because somebody inserted exploded 42 CAD files. So things like that, it's okay when you're dealing with a crisis, but when you're compiling reports to talk to project managers and the team and everything like that, you want to steer away from doing things like pointing blame. All of us are professionals. We're all working on these projects. We're trying to do the best that we can. And sometimes there's limitations, deadlines, knowledge gap, all sorts of stuff. And we don't want to be attacked for asking for help. Because you want to get help because you want it to work better. But you don't want to be blamed for doing something that might not have been best practice or company standard or industry standard or those types of things. So by developing the system, basically it's a way to divorce yourself from that emotional aspect that a lot of people, because this is my project, this is my work, these are my efforts, you don't want to have them hesitate in asking for help. You want to be able to engage.
Speaking about emergencies, anybody heard about the Revit firefighter syndrome? Yeah, so did we. And we really don't suggest being in response mode all the time. And so a big part of the background to the work that we're presenting today is because we did have meltdowns. We had large teams on deadlines that could not quite work because their file was not in a healthy position, in a healthy condition. And so this is how we developed a reporting system to provide just-in-time QA/QC metrics. And as part of the BIM project report infrastructure, we collect, analyze, and document performance of the project.
Mm-hmm. So this is the kind of structure. Basically, we talk to the team, we get that information from the team, both verbally as a discussion, finding about their stuff, and we'll go through those in a second. We take the BIM model, kitten killer. We take the BIM and we harvest the information from it, and we start to read into the story about that job, where it is right now, because it might be different than what they envisioned when they wrote the execution plan before they started the work. So where it is now, what's going on, what stage, is it pre-deliverable, is it post-deliverable, is it SD, DD, CDs, where is it at? So we're not able to follow every single project in the entire firm. And a lot of times, as we are doing these types of investigations, sometimes they're kicked off by somebody raising a flag and saying, hey, I need some help over here. Can you give me? Then we take that data, we roll it all up, and we stew on it for a second. We say, okay, what are the things that are important, that are critical going on? And then we fashion it into a deliverable, a PDF, that the document team, if we do multiple of these reports, as projects go on through 1-2 years, sometimes 3 years, sometimes even longer, you might go through this process several times. And what they'll be able to do is to establish a workflow for the PMs, for the project managers, for the office managers, whoever's doing those stagings, saying, okay, this is the type of things that we're seeing on this project, and how are we improving, and how are we capitalizing on that improvement. And then we send them that report, let them look at it, get their first ideas, and we'll review it with the team. So these are some of the metrics that we start to talk about with the project teams. And I say talk about, but it's really more about listening, okay? It's really asking a couple of those questions and listening to what they have going on. Finding out where they are, what are the next deadlines, what are the big hurdles that they have coming up, is it changing phase? Are things significantly happening with consultants? Are they not behaving right? Are they doing something different? What's the story? You gotta figure out we just had a disruption because we're just coming off of a project hold, and we have all these new staff that aren't familiar with how that file was set up. Or that file was set up 2 years ago when we had these other standards, which office standards and practices may change over the years. We're always improving the stuff that we're doing. So it's always in development. So it's a moving target, but these jobs, they start and they run with what they have and they progress. So we pull off all of those types of feedback that we get verbally from the project teams. And we listen to that. We take our notes. Then we go and we start to see, okay, how many Revit files are engaged? Is there a core? Is there a shell? Is there a site? Is there consultant models? Are they being all linked together? How are they being linked together? Which ones are of a certain size? Okay, your Revit models above 250 are kind of screaming, saying, hey, something's going on here. When it gets in the 500 range, you're like, okay, we need to pay attention. And they get in the 700 range and they're being linked together, file performance starts to tank. So you start looking at this bigger picture on what's going on and why things are happening. So we start collecting these data points from the BIM. And obviously we collect the project information so we can put the headers on the page and sort our reports and give it to the right teams. But we start harvesting everything from links, imports. Do they have a lot of images? Are they in California healthcare projects where they have a lot of standard OSHPD details that have been stamped and approved and need to be part of the set? Are they really fat? What's kind of going on? You've got to try and get a picture of what's happening. So we harvest this set of information. It's in an Excel file. It's also, you'll have this report online. So there are a few tools that we've set up.
Right, and here we go into more greater detail of what information we're collecting and how exactly we're collecting that information. And so you can see that, let's take a look at the project information module, and the darker blue, there are three modules. The darker blue module is the really critical stuff that is affecting file performance. Project information is information, it's nice for us to know, but then things like links and imports, those are known troublemakers, right? Number of groups, work sets, those are all big picture BIM management topics, so they are in that dark blue group. Then we have the lighter gray, the second group. Those are items that are classified as items that are both QA/QC and affecting file performance. Things like unplaced views on sheets. Imagine if you have 1,000 views that are not placed on sheets that are going to blow up file size, right? There's going to be an impact. But it's also QA/QC. Why do you need all those 1,000 views that you're not using? Then things like line styles and annotations. We'll show you some examples later, but for example, if you import a CAD file, you are going to end up with a bunch of line patterns that came from AutoCAD, right? So by querying that information, we're able to see that an AutoCAD file was imported. So this is the second group. And then the third group of items, we have program and partition types. So program is rooms and levels. We're querying all the rooms that are in the project. We're mining the levels that were set up in the file, and we're reviewing partition types. And you would be surprised what you learn about your model when you query that information. And you can see here how we collect data. Most of where it says automated, It's automated with Dynamo and Dyno. That's the part we're going to show in a bit. And then the manual portion, we're using CTC tools and just looking at the file and collecting information.
There's some pieces that aren't opened up by the API. There are other things where it's still just truly a manual collection. So.
And we keep adding to this list, and it was really something that emerged organically in a way as we identified that we need to do this type of work, and then we started to say, all right, we need to collect this information. Oh, let's collect that information. So the list keeps on growing, and we're modifying it. And then, and here we have a column that says what are we looking for, and we're looking for items like context and review and clean up and address, and that's where the report is helpful, because in the report we are able to zoom in and pinpoint on particular items from this list and say, well, this item is really important for your project right now, and that item might be, another item might be important for another team at a different time.
Maybe less important depending on what is kind of happening and so on. And this whole area that Masha was talking about here in the program, we're kind of really talking about QA/QC on the BIM. And there are some things that we're seeing in QA/QC that are important to actually how the project is run, how the product of the printed pages, the accuracy, and some other things. We're able to pull some of those metrics that are of interest to somebody who's reviewing the set. So overridden dimensions and those types of things, where we can start to tap in partition types. Why are there 1 or 2 partitions and there's 80 partition types, generic 1, generic CMTU2, generic 3, partition 1/8, generic whatever, and there's 25 or 30 of those generics with the varying widths with only one object on each. Well, that's a flag. That's a trigger to further engage the team. Why are you doing this? Well, we're still in SD, we're still in pre-design, we're still doing, okay, you don't know that information yet. But if you're in CDs and you've already had several submissions and you're giving this model to the GC or the client, are you do you have allocated time to clean up this information? What is your strategy? How are you planning to do? I mean, it's just a talking point to resolve some of the issues in our report. So it's a new area that we're expanding. We're continually growing.
So this is the template. This is the Excel template that we have pre-made and ready to go. And when we run the scripts, that's where the information is going into. And you can see that we have, this is the first tab, this is the report tab, then the data metrics tab is what we showed on the slide before. And every tab contains specific information that relates to that topic.
Originally, when we were starting to do this, it was really a back-of-house tool that was really just for organization of the data that we're collecting so that we can compile it into the report. It's started to grow and develop. And actually, the people who are addressing and fixing the problems after post-report, they find it really useful to be able to find the element ID and what views that they're placed on, or these other things going on inside the model that they need to address and clean up. So we started basically a simple Word template, so that way we can provide consistency and professionalism as we deliver this statement, this whole composite of everything that we've done. We're providing it in a very similar way. It's really just kind of a general that we do. There's a couple projects that slightly vary or we modify this. So when we're talking to the project teams, are there any existing documentation that we need to draw upon to get that story, to understand what's going on? Was there a BIM execution plan? is there in either the BIM execution plan or talking to the client requirements, is there level design worksheet completed? Are there things that help enable us to look at, potentially draw our focus? Are there things that they are or aren't doing in this stage of the project? So it helps us also formulate that picture. It helps to clear it up for us. Did they do project kickoff? Was in the project kickoff, was there a BIM component that they were talking about incorporating, how they're going to be doing it, structuring and all of that?
Yeah, and so as we mentioned, we collect information using the BIM Manager Suite. This is how we got our original inspiration, but then we wanted to get more information, and so that's how we got into Dynamo and Dyno. So for those of you that never heard about Dyno is a way, this is this logo, Dyno, you can Google it up, Dyno BIM. Dyno automates running Dynamo scripts without opening Dynamo.
Well, you have to have Dynamo open, but you don't have to actually go and launch individually and manually the scripts. Basically, you can bake in some of that, and it helps to automate that. We're actually exploring also other opportunities to even automate the open, running the reports and closing the file. That's some other avenues that we're looking into, but these are all early days.
I have a question. Does Dynamo, you have to purchase that? Or Dynamo?
No,
you have
it's
to purchase
free.
No,
So-
Dynamo and Dyno and all that, it's all open source and it's all free.
So for those of you that have seen, we've all seen Dynamo before, even
You don't
yesterday
have
at
it
the. I don't have it open. Oh, wait, I need to close PowerPoint.
So we've just pulled up one of the Revit models that we have had, we've done these reports on before. So it has some interesting metrics. So this is pre-cleanup, or pre a little bit of the cleanup. So
You've all seen Dynamo before, and as we said earlier, one of the things that we're after is how can we do this fast? I mean, as fast as we can, because we have so many projects, there are so few of us. How can we spend less time generating this data collection? And so with the traditional Dynamo way, you have to open every script, run it, close it, open, close. That's very time consuming.
and we're dumping it from Dynamo into an Excel file.
Yeah.
So basically, this Excel file that you see behind here with all these tabs, it's just going to that page and dumping the data that it's harvested off the model.
In terms of, I guess, what I wanted to show you guys here is that we're mining information, and every line here is different, like every congestion of data is a different aspect of what we're collecting. Then we are gathering the information. We're using Bumblebee, Archilab Bumblebee package to collect the data. That's all Bumblebee. We collect the data into this Powerhouse node, and then we push it to an open Excel. So all you have to do to prepare this report is really to have the Excel template open, and then run scripts. That's our workflow. I'm going to run this one Dynamo script, and then I'm going to do the other ones from, or some other ones from Dyno.
So on those USB keys that went around, and we'll be giving out a few at the end for questions as well. Basically all this stuff is in there, and in order to successfully leverage or experiment with and look at, the way this is set up is you need to have at least an empty Excel file open. You don't have to have our baked template Excel file, but inside our Excel file, the keys location where it's dumping that text actually falls into this kind of pre-formatted. So basically you open up that Excel file, leave it open running, then you open up Dynamo or Dyno. run these scripts, and it will fill out that open Excel file. If you have other Excel files open, I suggest you close them.
That's how the system is set up to work right now. And you can see that the Dynamo script put in a timestamp, so we're doing this live, we're reporting project name, we're reporting file name, and there's a bunch of other information that we also collected by running that script. Now, when we first started doing this work, we had one gigantic script that was trying to do all the different 10 things that we wanted to collect, and we realized that it becomes really unmanageable, and unmanageable in terms of running the script. It takes a long time to run, and also to troubleshoot. If you have a lot of stuff in your Dynamo script and one node breaks, the entire definition is not going to work. So this is how we started to break things down, and so I think that we have the 10 must-have Dynamo BIM scripts. If you're doing BIM management with Dynamo, those are the 10 must-have scripts.
And as you know, with Dynamo and Dyno and all the different packages, they're constantly updated, they're constantly re-released, and they constantly break each other. So by having them even further refined into these distinct little packets allows you to go in with your Dynamo. If you're not up to Dynamo, that's cool. No worries. We're going to show you methods for harvesting some of this information as well, using the CTC tools and other things you can do. You can go through your warnings and reports. You can open your project. You can see how many links you got and so many things going on. You can do much of what we're doing manually. Okay? These are all things that are just leveraged for us because we were doing these reports and it was taking us about a week. Meeting with the teams, talking with them, gathering that information, taking the notes, going and pulling all this stuff, putting it into an Excel file so that it makes sense, trying to lay out that. Now we're doing some of this, we can do a report in basically 2 days.
Or the Excel report in 15, 20 minutes.
Well, but we still need to talk with schedule a time to talk with the team and all of that. So taking that all together and then formulate our ideas about what's kind of going to help that team moving forward.
One other cool thing about Dyno is that it allows you to point to a directory on your network. So as I said, we have a firm-wide team, so I can be working on a script and then say, hey Jude, can you open it up, see how does it look to you? And Jude can open it from his end, and we are seeing the same interface for the script. So that's pretty cool. All right, I'm just going to run the partition script right here, and you will see how it populates the information. So when it first launches the script, it will show you that it's running, it's in progress, and then once it's done, it colors green. Yeah, and so you can see that it's in progress, and it usually takes up to 30 seconds to run a script. It's much faster on my workstation.